We've arrived at the final episode of Season 1 of the HBO original series 30 Coins with Sacrificio or Sacrifice. This show's been building towards what we believe is the ultimate battle between good and evil. So does it deliver? So just as a warning, this will have some spoilers from previous episodes. I've linked spoiler-free reviews of the previous episodes in the description below if you need them. In episode 7, Angel has arrived in the town as the new priest and he's taken over the village. A black goo is spread around the perimeter of the town, which then prevents everybody from leaving. The creepy old lady who brought back Elena's husband from the scarecrow in the field gets a pouch of stuff from Angel and pours it down drains, which then causes this thick fog to settle in the streets. Obviously, there is some confusion that sets in, and it creates panic among the townspeople, especially because they can't escape now. We see that Lagunas has been held captive by the federal agents who are beginning to fall under Angel's power. Elena arrives back in town looking like she's ready for a fight. She's dressed in black combat boots, black jeans, and a black jacket, so we know she means business. And Paco has pretty much left Merche at this point, which causes emotional turmoil on both of their parts. But it also drives Merche more into the confidence of Angel. Now, Angel sets a trap in the church, locking all of the townspeople inside, and then he sets fire to it. But he tells Merche how to escape. Vergara also returns at the end of this episode and gathers his weapons. He sprinkles the bullets with holy water, and he looks like he's ready for battle. He's oozied up and ready to go. And now we're at the finale, episode 8. The scene opens with a spectacular fight. I mean, the imagery is weird and freaky, and really, this is what I've been waiting for. I was anxious for this finale with bated breath. I mean, I've spent the last 7 episodes becoming invested in what looks to be a massive battle between good and evil. The fight to keep the ultimate weapon out of the hands of a madman. Throughout the episodes, we've seen some odd creatures and imagery, and with this opening scene, the show really turns it up to 11. Unfortunately, though, it's over too quickly. I expected something epic, and while it begins to deliver, it then ends with no explanation for the ending. This scene does create a lot of chaos in the town and causes our 3 protagonists to go into hiding. And while it's hard to determine how long they are hiding out, a line of dialogue lets us know that Vergara, Elena, and Paco have been in refuge for 15 days. They're trying to see what's going on in the town and with the townspeople, but can't go out into the open areas because they'll then be mobbed by the people who are under the control of Angel. Now, honestly, this feels like a pretty long time for them to be in hiding with no progress being made. I mean, 2 weeks have gone by and our trio have yet to accomplish anything other than to sit in a cellar. Now, during this time, Angel is preparing the town and castle for the arrival of Santoro, and his decorating really leaves a ton to be desired in my opinion. Oh, the visuals are nasty and stomach-turning. They're very visceral and they're quite grotesque. Now, because there's something that Vergara needs that's within the church, Paco goes to retrieve it and gets to witness a mass that is going on. Now, while he didn't wait until the church was unoccupied, I mean, who knows? That would make so much more sense for somebody trying not to be discovered. But then on the other hand, he wouldn't see the mass, which clues us into the control and behaviors going on. I've come to believe over the course of this series that Paco is an utter idiot. I mean, he sabotages just about everything he gets involved with. Not intentionally, but because he's so emotional and he can't stay focused. He's so torn with trying to care for everybody that he ends up putting everybody in danger. So maybe, I guess idiot might be too strong of a word. He's naive, and his naivete seriously endangers himself and others. The pace of this episode grows faster and faster as the minutes progress, and it doesn't leave much breathing room. We jump from scene to scene with urgency. As Santoro arrives with his entourage of white-clad priests, it's odd and unsettling to see the clamoring of the townspeople. I mean, it's like a rock star has arrived and they can't help but mob the cars to get a look at who's there. We continue to be shown disgusting and off-putting imagery within the castle, and it's kind of harrowing to view, especially as we're brought into the inner chambers where Santoro and Angel are. Alex de la Iglesia is the director, and I'm not sure about his religious background, but there is a point where Santoro comes out to greet his followers, and it's pretty disturbing. I mean, it mirrors the Pope emerging to greet the people at the Vatican. De la Iglesia could be making a huge commentary on the Catholic religion, and I think visually he is, but not knowing his background, it's difficult to say for certain if he's really targeting Catholicism within the story. There are a few things in this episode that felt glossed over. For example, Merche approaches that creepy old lady and she does some sort of ritual that ends with the old lady giving Merche a needle. Now the process is odd and it seems kind of magical, and there's one point that just made me cringe. But upon execution, there doesn't seem to be any reason at all for the ritual. There's also a scene with a young girl who refuses to take Angel's communion. She's hiding at one point and then is discovered. That's the last we hear about it. I mean, the scene just feels utterly pointless. There's also a scene with Lagunas and Antonio. They felt almost just tossed into the episode without much impact to the plot. And for me, the end of this episode came too quickly, and maybe too conveniently. The succession of events just come in rapid fire, and it made me want more. There's also another scene with the creepy old lady, and it is fun, but it's over too quickly as well. The stakes in the scene with the old lady just didn't get as high as they could have been. Even if the scene only lasts a few minutes too. I mean, there's more that could have been built into it that would increase the tension and the risk. We get to see an interaction between Vergara and Angel, and in one sense, I loved it. We get to see the futility of fighting the devil in a non-spiritual way. But in another sense, it was just a lackluster exchange. I really liked the aftermath and the behaviors that are exhibited at the climax of the show. It underscores the lust for the coins we've seen throughout, and there's this crazy and frenetic behavior exhibited, and I think it worked really well. And while the show does have a finale, it also leaves the door open for another season. Now, how they're going to pursue that, I'm not totally sure, but it does intrigue me enough, and I'm certainly going to check it out if they do pursue a second season. I've enjoyed the journey with Vergara, Elena, and Paco. They're each flawed, but they have a lot of qualities that are also endearing. They have a lot of charisma, but not in equal rations. And while I know the show is called 30 Coins, the search for the coins almost takes a back seat to the growth and journey of our characters. Their internal drama is intriguing and even annoying at times. But really, I became engrossed in their stories, both individually and then collectively. This finale, though, was just a little underwhelming for me. This episode delivered some excitement and creepiness, but I'm not sure if it fully delivered on everything the story had built and even hinted at promising over the previous 7 episodes. This is especially true when you take into account how the episode kicks off. It was crazy and intense, and then it ends abruptly. I now need to binge the series from start to finish to see how well the story flows together in one sitting. I mean, I've enjoyed the show over the course of the weeks and have been pulled into the mystery. I mean, the visuals, they're unsettling, and the premise for the story, it felt unique. Overall, this is a fun episode, but I think it should have been a stronger ending to the story. The dark visuals work well, but ultimately, everything is concluded just too quickly. There's no sex, brief nudity, a lot of profanity, and a ton of violence. I give episode 8, Sacrifice, 3.5 out of 5 couches. So what did you think of the finale and the show overall? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.